Hi. Hello. How are you? This is great. I feel like it's been a long time since I've been on the Facebook Live and had a conversation with you. Fantastic. I've got a beer on the go as well, as promised. I'm 2 hours ahead of you if you're in the UK. If you're in the US, I'm bonkers hours ahead of you. If you're wherever else. Anyway, it's 7 o'clock. So it's fully reasonable, I think, as a hard-working, conscientious person, to be having a glass of quite nice Zelta beer at 7 o'clock in the evening on a Wednesday. How are you anyway? Drop a hello in the comments. Check in. Tell me I'm coming out loud and clear and everything's working. That'd be really appreciated. Thank you for that. Considering it's all a bit different, it's all a bit new to me at the moment, having not done one of these Facebook Lives in a little while. So I'm going to talk to you about a couple of things quickly this afternoon. Number one, the most important one, I suppose, is my new book, and I've got the what do they call it, like the not for resale, the trial version here. Absolutely loving the cover. I think my designer has done a storming job. I think it jumps off the shelf, actually. I'm really impressed with it. Oh, a couple of comments coming in. Darren Hassel and Allison, hello. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you. Yeah, I'm really pleased with the cover. I think it's great. And it's been one of those that I feel it's just been in the works for ages, this book. I went on back through the notes of it a couple of days ago and saw the earliest version of this is like 2018. So the earliest plan, the earliest inception of this story is in 2018. It's gone on for such a long time, the writing process. And that's because I obviously wrote Kathmandu and then Hong Kong and then this is book number 3. And then I wrote Berlin and then put Berlin between Hong Kong and this one, and that got nudged along. So I've come and gone from a lot of different projects all the way through. So I'm going to be so pleased to get it out to you. I'm, as ever, really nervous about sharing it. I think because it's been in here for so long, it's been sort of buzzing around my own mind for so long that when I share it, it'll be, yeah, it's quite a nerve-wracking thing at that time, I think. I don't know, it's a strange one because I'm quite close to it. I've been sort of reading through the new characters in this book, talking about the settings, thinking about it for a long time. To actually share it with you in a couple of weeks' time is a big thing. But I'm really happy to do it. I'm going to read an extract from that in a minute. One of my favorite extracts, and I'll tell you about that soon. But I've got a question for you, and this is for people listening. If you're listening live, put it in the comments now. If you're listening afterwards, put it in the comments then as well, because I do check. It notifies me and says so-and-so's commented, and it's really useful. I'm actually thinking about this at the moment. So this is something I will put into practice, and really am interested in your thoughts. And we'll discuss it in a minute. I won't take your answers right now, but if you put it in the comments, I'll go down them in a moment. What do you think is a reasonable price for one of my books? Now, some authors price their books at $4.99, which I think is a little bit at the top end. I think that's a little expensive. Other people put them at $1.99 or 99p. Other people somewhere in the middle. What do you think? Now, I want to make a living from this, as I've discussed before. This is my job. This is my passion, and I work very hard, and I want to make a living from it too. So I do need to charge something. But what is a reasonable price? Now, my books aren't massive. We're talking, 60,000 words, about 4 or 5 hours of reading time. Maybe it depends how quickly you read, obviously. Maybe 4 to 6 hours of reading time, 4 to 6 hours of entertainment. What would you pay for that? What do you value that as? And I'll tell you what, I'm not going to promise that I'll make that change at all. But what I'm going to do is really listen to what you say and really think about that, because that's important to me. I want my books to be affordable for you as well. So pop that in the comments now. I'm going to come back to that in a minute. Right. New York, as I said, that is on pre-order at the moment. The price of the pre-order may change. It's on pre-order price. I think it's $2.99 at the moment. I may change that based on the thinking I'm doing at the moment. But if you pre-order it today, you don't pay today. You pay when the book's released. I'd say that to you right now. You don't pay today, you pay when the book's released. So if I change the price and make it less than the price it is now, you pay the less price. If I make it more than the price it is now, you pay the price it is now. Okay, so you're not going to lose anything by pre-ordering that today. But I'm not here to try and sell to you. I always say that, and I feel like I was up a couple of weeks ago, late in the night, and I turned the telly on, and it was one of those sales channels that I've not watched since I was a student. And they were selling something, a vacuum cleaner or whatever it was, and they just kept banging on about this thing, and I'm really conscious not to do that. I'm not selling to you here, that's not the point. I'm telling you about all sorts of stuff. So anyway, yeah, so think about that, and we'll come to that in a minute. I want to share with you an absolutely beautiful review that I got. I know I've not done one of these Facebook Lives in a while, actually, and the reason for that is, yeah, that's important. I wanted to sort of tell you about the reason for that as well. I've just been really focused on this, and I've been re-editing Kathmandu and Hong Kong. Now, Kathmandu's up and it's reloaded. Hong Kong is, I've almost finished my edit of it, and it will be re-uploaded in the next week or so. If you've read them already and you'd like to read the new version, if you delete it from your device and then re-download it, it should download the new version of that if you'd like to read the new version. The stories are the same, the main events are the same. I've just tightened it up, I've taken some bits around, I've moved some scenes around in some places just to make them as amazing as possible, because I've become a better writer over the time. And I want that to be reflected throughout my books. I don't want someone to read one and go, oh, that's average, and then decide they don't want to read any others. You know, I want them all to be amazing. Okay, a review. This review I love. I saw it the other day because I've been going through some other reviews and having a look at them. It's for Hong Kong. As I say, reviews are massively important. It's lukerichardsonauthor.com/reviews to leave them. All the links are there. If you haven't left a review on any of my books, please do that. That would be amazing. This is the second book in the Leo Keane series, and I have to say I was as gripped as the first. Having partnered up with Allissa, who Leo met at Nepal, the two of them are working closely together as missing persons agents. They're approached by the brother of a guy named Jamie, who's been arrested for disappearance and possible murder of a colleague. Leo and Allissa agree to take the case, which finds them traveling to Hong Kong, where Jamie was supposed to be taking a new job as an architect, but he didn't and became locked up behind bars. So how is Jamie still an employee of this company? The two of them travel to Hong Kong to find out and hopefully find proof of the truth of Jamie. If you're like me and missing being able to travel at the moment, except from your armchair, and love a good thriller, I would definitely recommend this series. I love that line. I think that hits the nail on the head for what I'm trying to achieve with my book. So thank you if this is your review. That really did make me smile. I'll read it again. If you're like me and missing being able to travel at the moment, except from your own armchair, and love a good thriller, I would definitely recommend this series. I'm now moving straight on to the third book in the series, Berlin, to continue Leo and Alyssa's travels and assignments. I'm really pleased with that. I think that's a great review. Thank you if that was one of yours. Right, let's have a look at some of these comments. Hi, John. Fantastic. I'm glad that you're looking forward to New York. I'm, really excited to share it with you. Ian, my man, how are you? Are you well? I'm going to talk about your price in a moment, but I just wanted to say hello. Darren, I've shouted you already. I'm Fiona. Hi, Fiona. How are you doing? Are you keeping well? So, yes. God, I've been talking for 10 minutes already. It's thirsty work, this, isn't it? But no, Riga, by the way, is beautiful. I've had a really nice time here. I'm house sitting at the moment for two rabbits. You might see one of them hopping around on the floor behind me. If you do, give me a thumbs up. And I saw the house sit come up on the page, and I saw that things were not, things were happening in the UK, and I thought, actually, I'm just going to shoot over there for a few weeks and I've just been writing in the day. I've had long walks in the afternoon and the evenings around the city. I'm going, and then come back here in the evening. I've had to do 10 days of sort of not going to public places, like inside public places. So I can walk in the countryside and get essential shops, go to essential shops, but not to like bars and restaurants and stuff. 10 days is up tomorrow. I've been here 10 days tomorrow. So I'm going to get the train tomorrow to another town about 45, 50 minutes away and have a look around there. And then for tomorrow. And then I might get a beer in an actual pub, an actual draft beer when I get back to Riga tomorrow afternoon, but we will see. But no, it's been really good. I've really enjoyed the trip so far. I'm really glad that I've made it. Whether I'll be saying that when I get back to the UK and when that happens, when I'm able to do that, I'm not sure. We will see. Have any of you been to Riga? Have you been to Latvia or any other countries nearby? Estonia, Lithuania? And I have, since walking around, come up with an absolutely cracking idea for a story set here. I'm really, really excited by it. I'm going to tell you the premise now. I wasn't planning on saying this actually, but I just think I will. So the premise is this. When Riga used to be part of the Soviet Union, as in fact, Ian Bond, who's listening, we studied communism together. We did a module on communism together at university. On a Thursday morning, we had to get the bus over to the Clifton campus in Nottingham to go to this communism thing. And it just made me think of it being here. Anyway, Riga used to be part of the Soviet Union. And when the Soviet Union dissolved, or whatever they called it, finished, okay, the Russians moved out of Riga and left it to their government. However, they took with them records of all of the people who were in the Russian KGB. Now, some of these people are now apparently, I don't know this is a fact, I've just read it. Some of these people now apparently are quite important people within the Latvian sort of system, you know, politicians and business leaders and this sort of thing. And they used to be part of the KGB during the Soviet times. Now, Russia had the records for this, apparently. Don't know if this is true, but I just thought it was a brilliant twist to a story. They have the records to say these people are, you know, ex-KGB people, whatever, and have got them and are keeping them, you know, just in case. They might have been destroyed. They might, you know, nothing might come, you know, it's one of those sort of urban myths. But I heard that and just thought, there's a novel in there. There's a thriller in there somewhere. Yeah, Ian says happy days. We used to have the best time. I don't know quite why we took that, because all of our mates took film, and they used to spend the mornings watching videos basically, and we'd be reading about Trotsky and Stalin and Lenin and these sorts of people. But no, it was good fun. It was good fun. Thanks, Ian. Yeah, I think it's a cool idea. I'm working it into a novel at the moment. I'm going to see how we get on. Yeah, more. And then you sort of think, Fiona, what would someone do to get them back? You know, that's a bit of a. It just got me thinking, and I've got this idea now as to how that plays, because my novels are not really political. Do you know what I mean? They're not really about espionage and spies and stuff. So how do I fit that into Leo and Allissa? You know, because they don't really fire guns or do anything. You know, they're not those sorts of characters. But I've got an idea. I'm going to see how it goes. The question is, though, do you think Riga is like a cool enough word for the title? You know, Riga. Because would you know Riga as a place if it were on a book cover? Like New York, obviously very famous. Berlin is famous. New York's not capital city, but both big cities. What do you reckon? Fiona, it sounds like a great gem for a story. Yes, I think it does. Do a little bit more research tomorrow. Yeah. Okay, right. Question I was asking you. What do you think? Do you want to hear 2 chapters from this that I plan to read in? I'm aware that I've spoken for 15 minutes already. I don't want to keep you for your entire evening. If you do want to hear them, put a yes, put a Y or a yes. If you'd rather just talk about this now, that's fine too. I don't want to take up your whole night, you know, sort of 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes is, you might think, is long enough to hear me rattling on. Plus, I'm thinking I may nip down to the shop and buy another Zelter. These Zelters are really nice. It's like an amber sort of, I want to say lager, Pils. It's not a Pilsner, no, it's like a lager, but the beer here is fantastic actually, and quite cheap as well. Euro, that I think that was about 80 cents for a pint in a can. Yeah. Right, Fiona says yes, Darren says yes, that's good enough for me. Thank you, guys. Right, so this is 2 chapters I'm going to read. They're only short, the chapters in my books, as you know. I'm actually getting comfortable now, like it's story time. No, Zelta's good, Ian. It's funny calling Ian because we used to just call him Bond at university. Like, why wouldn't you? If you know a guy with surname Bond, you'd just do that, wouldn't you? So I'm going to read 2 chapters, and I've chosen these chapters because they're not particularly central to the storyline, and I don't want to give away too much with regards to the storyline. But they're also really, John says, I wish I could have a beer and work in the night shift later. John, what do you do that involves working the night shift? Could be all sorts. Maybe you're the man who's talked about espionage and that sort of thing. Stephen Taylor, go on, mate. I'm sitting comfortably. I hope so. I'm reading these 2 chapters for 2 reasons. One, because they're based on they're based in St. Lucia, which at the start of New York, Leo and Allissa are on a case in St. Lucia in the Caribbean. And if you've read Berlin, you'll know that they get that case at the end of Berlin, and they go and they use it as a bit of an opportunity to have a break because it's quite an easy case. So I don't cover what happened because it's not that exciting in the case. But after that, they have like a week's holiday. And it's during that week's holiday that they get the call to go to New York. But there's a street party that goes on in St. Lucia every Friday night at a place called Grosse Ile. And it is brilliant. They close off like the main street in the town. They put speakers on a truck at one end. There's a DJ there, and everyone gets little tables set up selling rum punch and beers and all sorts. I absolutely loved it. It was brilliant. John, work on an NHS mental health unit as a support worker. John, heart goes out to you. Hat comes off to you. That's the thing. That's fantastic. Yeah, that's got to be a tough gig, to be fair. Yeah, and the whole town every single Friday takes over this, does this street party, and it just made me think, if that were happening in the UK, for one, can you imagine the amount of people that would moan about every Friday night their street being closed and it being full of drunk people dancing around? You know, it just wouldn't happen, would it? And number 2, it was just fantastic. It was just a fantastic experience to have been there and to have done that. And number 2, the second reason I wanted to read this is because I was there in 2018 and went to this street party, and you're all just crammed on this street, dancing next to each other. I went on my own, met a load of people whilst I was there, and it's just so incongruous at the moment, isn't it? Incongruous at the moment that we're all in our rooms on our own talking online. The idea that the idea that we could even dance in a street with strangers, next to a bunch of strangers. So I thought it was a great touch for that. All right, here we go, story time. Sure, I've been to England, the driver yelled over the minibus's beefed up stereo. Leo and Allissa squeezed into the front seats on their way to the island's weekly street party. Leo glanced at the people behind them. Most of them looked like they were also coming to the party. 3 women on the back seat cheered and clapped as a new tune began. Their colourful braids bounced to the beat of the song, which was something to do with being in a rum shop. Nah, England's a cool place, the driver said, taking the corner with an ease that made Leo nervous. Leo gripped the door. The thick alloy wheels of the souped-up bus screeched across the bumpy road. Allissa wedged her feet into the footwell. The motion pressed her into Leo's shoulder. When I say cool, I mean brrr, the driver said, shivering animatedly. After Leo's first swimming lesson, they'd gone back to their rooms and got changed. Then had a couple of beers in one of the hotel's bars before joining the group, waiting for the bus to the street party. I remember getting off the plane when I first arrived in England, the driver said, accelerating down a straight stretch of road on the narrow road. And I went for a smoke outside the airport, pulled back a cigarette proper deep, hadn't had one in hours. And then when I breathed out, the smoke just didn't stop. I was like, how big are these lungs? Ha! It was so cold, my breath was smoking itself. The tune changed and the bus erupted into whoops and cheers. The bus driver battered the steering wheel to the beat. The bus swayed to the rhythm. Leo's knuckles whitened on the door handle. He was glad they'd sunk a couple of beers before leaving. The journey would have been fear-inducing if stone cold sober. Leo and Allissa hadn't been out together for a long time. Leo couldn't actually remember the last time. Hong Kong, maybe? So, when they'd heard about the weekly street party, both were keen to make it. A night of drinking and relaxation, and, if Allissa got her way, dancing would be just what they needed. This street party is legendary, the driver grinned. The bus slowed as they approached the centre of town. It's been going for years. You've never seen a party like it, like we get on this island. What music do they play? Allissa asked. They play the best type, the driver said, pointing at the stereo. He thumbed a button and another tune played. The passengers at the back of the bus cheered and the driver cranked the volume past ear-splitting point. The music that makes you wanna, shouted the woman sat behind Allissa. You and your boyfriend gonna love it. She put her hand on Alyssa's shoulder. We're not, Leo said. Loosen him up a bit, you know what I mean. The woman cut off Leo's interjection. Where you from? The woman asked Allissa. England, Allissa explained. Whoa, so cold. The driver stopped, the door slid open, and the passengers tumbled out. Down there on the right, the driver said, pointing towards the end of the road. Passengers passed money through the open window and wandered, singing and dancing in the direction of the party. You won't miss it, the driver shouted. Make sure you stay to the end. That's when they play the best music. All right. Hold on. 1 minute. After I've read this chapter, we're going to be talking about this. If you've not had your say yet, pop that in the comments, because I'm actually going to use this to decide in the next few days what to price them. I'm going to do some price changes and I'm thinking about it. So pop that in the comments now and we'll have a discussion about it in a moment. Leo and Allissa hardly needed the driver's directions. They heard the rumbling bass from the moment they stepped off the bus. Droves of other people followed too. Hips draped in red, yellow and green started to sway to the beat. Leo felt the excitement of the party take hold. The smell of barbecued meat, charcoal and the sweet citrus of rum punch was as heady as the music. Speakers stacked on the back of a truck grunted and groaned. Even from behind the crowd of upstretched arms, Leo felt the bass line. Rum punch! You want rum punch? Shouted a large woman from behind a table. The makeshift bar glowed beneath festoons of hanging bulbs. Sure, Allissa said, grinning. We'll take 2. Sure you will, miss. 2 of the best rum punches coming up. Ice snapped as the woman filled glasses with pink liquid. Leo accepted one and took a big gulp. It was sweet and strong. A hip-hop tune's deep thumping beats faded, and a vibrant sound of Caribbean soca pounded across the street. The crowd whooped and hollered. A group of women rushed past Leo. One of them took Allissa by the arm and led her into the crowd. Allissa moved effortlessly to the beat. Light patterned across her wide smile as she twirled. Leo shook his head with wonder and stepped forward. With hands up in surrender, he moved into the dancing throng. Leo danced, badly of course, as his worries evaporated. Rum flowed. Gyrating bodies with upstretched arms swarmed and stomped. The music was like nothing Leo had ever heard before. The deep thumping bass embodied the heat, the rum, the smiling people, and the island. Leo finished his 3rd or 4th rum punch and looked around at the crowd. The St. Lucians, of which Allissa was now pretty much an honorary member, twisted naturally to the beat. Leo, by comparison, moved awkwardly and out of time. Let's get a drink, Allissa shouted over the music. She pointed at their empty glasses in Leo's hand. Holding a glass obviously got in the way of Alyssa's instinctive dance moves, Leo supposed. Sure, Leo shouted and followed Allissa through the crowd. That was great. Allissa turned to look at Leo when the music quietened. Even got you dancing. Allissa took their empty cups and pushed through the crowd towards one of the rum stalls. Leo felt as though he needed to jump back into that cold pool again, even without the ability to swim. This is wicked, isn't it? Came an English accented voice from behind him. Leo turned and saw a young man. He was tanned with all the trimmings of a backpacker. He even wore a beaded bracelet on one wrist and a leather one on the other. Yeah, so good, Leo replied. I'm Matt, he held out a hand, and this is my wife, Tess. He pointed to a pretty, petite, equally tanned woman beside him. It's our honeymoon, Tess said, leaning in to kiss Leo on the cheek. Can you imagine that? Kissing someone on the cheek that you've only just met? See what I mean? It's crazy, isn't it? You know. You're here with your... Tess indicated Allissa, approaching with the drinks. This is Allissa, Leo said. It was a small ceremony, Tess said when Allissa asked about their wedding. Not small enough, Matt whispered to Leo. The pair's honeymoon was a 6-month trip starting in the Caribbean before travelling on through Central and South America. Leo watched Tess talk about their upcoming trip and thought of a woman he once knew, a woman who had changed his life. If it hadn't been for Maya disappearing on their trip around the world all those years ago, Leo would never have met Allissa. Shots! Matt shouted, pulling Leo from his memory. We're celebrating tonight, so we definitely need shots. Yes, Allissa shouted back. Sure, Leo said with a hazy smile. I'll get them in. There you go. That's my visit to the street party in St. Lucia in 2018, which wasn't that long ago and felt like a long time ago. It feels like a different world already, doesn't it? What do you reckon? What do you think? Do you like those sorts of chapters? Do you enjoy them? Okay, let's talk about this. What do you think is a reasonable price for one of my books? Like this, not the paperback though, we're talking ebooks here. Because paperback, obviously there's costs involved with printing and stuff. Stephen Taylor says... I'm just going to say this from Ian. Shots, you haven't changed. No, you're absolutely right, Ian. I haven't changed. And that is, I did meet a couple whilst I was there who I based those two on. They don't feature heavily in the story. They're just sort of passing characters, but I just thought it was a nice little twist, a nice little thing to put in there. Very atmospheric. Thank you, John. Thank you, Alison. Darren takes me back to my youth. I suppose it does. Tom Wyatt, thank you for joining us. Sounds awesome. Thank you, mate. I really appreciate that. Right. We're talking about this. What's the reasonable price for one of my books? Stephen Taylor says $3.99 or $4.99. So that's the top end, isn't it, of what independently published books are, I think, $3 or $4.99. And I've put them at that at the moment. What does everyone else think? What do you reckon? I don't disagree with you, Steve. I don't disagree with you at all. I'm just interested to get the sort of... Alison agrees too. About a $5 for an ebook, $9 for a paperback, $15 for a hardback. Alison, I've got to say, I still haven't done the hardbacks for Kathmandu. I apologise. They are on the list of things to do. I don't think they'll be there for Christmas though, but I will sort you a signed paperback for that because you have been asking me for a while, so I will sort that out for you. John, £3 or £4 is fair. Okay, that's good to know. That's good to know. Ian, or Bond, as I should call him now, as we're all friends in here, £5 for a book is a good price. I was talking ebook, Alison, really, because that's more competitive, isn't it? $4.99. Okay. So you've gone sort of a higher end of me. Anything less than a $5. Oh, anything less than a $5 is good value. Your time is valuable. Well, that's a key thing, isn't it, Darren? Like, the books are massively time consuming to do, but I love it. I wouldn't do anything else, you know, but they are a time consuming thing to do. Tom, I thought it would cost more, to be honest. Yeah, under a $5 is really good value. Do you know what? That's reassured me. That's made me think, actually, I'm in the right sort of place to be doing sort of $3.99. I think they're $3.99 at the moment. And I think I was thinking about whether I should reduce them slightly, but hearing your comments there has made me think, no. Would you think, though, to have the first one, so Kathmandu, which is the first in series, would you think that could be less and then the others are more? Would you be annoyed? It's a question. Would you be annoyed if you bought the first one in the series for like $1.99 and then you enjoyed that and then the next one was $4.99? Would you think, oh, that's a bit rubbish? I thought it was going to, you know, when you used to get those magazines, you know, and they give you like a bit to build an aeroplane and it was £1. And then the next one after that was like 10 quid. You know, would you feel like you'd be a bit ripped off in that? I'm conscious not to do that as well. Yeah, a lot of writers do that, don't they? The first one is $1.99 and then after that it's $3.99 or $4.99 or whatever. Oh, Fiona, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Your books are well worth it. Darren says, start as you mean to go on. Yes, that's the opposite way, isn't it? You know, but then it's a big risk, isn't it, to take that risk on that author for that first one, to chuck a fiver at an unknown author. I mean, you guys, you've heard of me and I've spoken to you and I love the fact I get to talk to you. I really appreciate that. If you're watching this afterwards, put a comment in, don't be shy. These comments will be live for a little while. This is live on Facebook, this is live on YouTube, that's it, and it's live on Twitter. So put a comment in because the platform that you're watching might not have the comments that I'm reading on my screen here. So pop that in when you're watching this at some point because that will still get back to me and I'll still be able to make a change because of that. Tom, no, that's reasonable. Take video games, for example. The first in the series is always the cheapest to pull you into the series. Okay, so we think the first one, $1.99, and after that, it could get more expensive, perhaps. No, as a new author, you need to promote yourself, Alison says. Yeah, I agree with you. It is a risk, though, isn't it, as a reader? You know, if I saw a book for £5 and I was on the fence about buying it, would I just chuck the £5 in, or I'd have to be more sure at £5 than I would at £2, wouldn't I? I think, from a reader's perspective. This beer's lovely, by the way. I've almost finished it. I've been on here for half an hour, though, 34 minutes. This has got to be my longest Facebook Live I've ever done. Thank you all so much for joining me, though. It's been absolutely fantastic. And I know I haven't done one in a while. I'll still be here in this flat next week. So I will do the same again next Wednesday. I'm going to a place called Sigulda, Sigulda. I think that's how it's spelled, tomorrow, as I said to you at the start. And I will try and record a video just on my phone of me in an exciting place because there's some cool castles there and some woodland. It looks like on the map a really cool place. So I think I'll record a thing there and then upload that onto YouTube and Facebook and whatever when I get home. All right. There was one more thing I want to talk to you about. Oh, pre-order. We've talked about that. Pre-order in New York. If you haven't done that already, please do. If I change the price, it won't affect you. You'll never pay more than you will have done when you pre-ordered it. You may even pay less. So there's no problem to do that. There's no issue to do that. Oh yeah, Tom's already looked it up. Chureda Classel looks awesome. Tom, if you're into I know you're into your photography and videography and that sort of thing. You get some great shots of, you know, this city is beautiful, mate. So many cool places. In fact, I was thinking I'd love to do, and Tom could be the guy to do this because he's into his videos and stuff. I'd love to do like a promo video for a book in a cool city. So say Berlin. I'm like walking through Berlin, reading a bit, telling you about the place, you know, like properly shot, really good video. So if I do Riga, Tom and I'll have to come back out here and he'll have to film me doing this. We'll go to the castle where it's set or whatever. You know, I think that'd be a really cool thing to do at some point in the future. I'm waffling now. Thank you so much for joining me. It's been absolutely fantastic to share the chapter with you. The pre-order link is there. and you can pre-order it on other places, not just Amazon as well. If you're watching this after, you're not watching this live, as I say, still put your comments in your thoughts in the comments, and I will respond at some time, at some point. Thanks so much, guys. It's been absolutely fantastic to talk with you. Lovely to see you, Fiona. Lovely to see you, everyone. Thank you, Alison. Thank you, Ian. Thank you, Tom, Darren, John. I have a good shift at work, John, as well. I hope that's okay. Steve, yeah, I'll see you again in a few days. I'm going to the shop now to buy another bit.